I'm Chris Carter, one of the authors of Discipling Redefined. Before I became a Christian, I was a really selfish guy. I almost never put energy into someone else's life if I didn't get anything out of it. But now, after years of learning how to follow Jesus, I've learned 3 things from the Bible that have helped me to have the best friendships I've ever had in my life and in the church. My relationships are deeper, wider, and alive. I want you to have those same type of relationships too. These are the 3 things that I do. Embrace the heart to train, to be like Christ. What does that mean? Take a look at Matthew 28, where Jesus gives us the Great Commission. Matthew 28, verse 18 reads, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age.'" At the end of that passage, Jesus says to teach them to obey everything He's commanded. What does that mean? In the New Testament, there are over 100 one another commands. One another commands simply means how you treat someone in a relationship. This is the biblical foundation of how relationship building should be. If you're not obeying these one another commands, you're not following Jesus. So we all know what empathy is, but there's 3 levels of empathy that Jesus shows in John chapter 11. We pick up where Jesus comforts Mary and Martha after their brother Lazarus had died. Verse 33 reads, "When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. 'Where have you laid him?' 'Come and see, Lord,' they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, 'See how he loved him?'" So we just saw how Jesus showed great empathy to Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. First, he has cognitive empathy. We all know what that means. He understood the situation. But next, he has emotional empathy, where he really feels what they feel. And last but not least, Jesus takes it a step higher. And this is what we have to learn to become good at to be Christ-like. He has compassionate empathy, where he's willing to take action based upon what others feel for their benefit. Christians should want to imitate that level of empathy in their relationships. So to really understand mentoring, one of the best examples in the Bible is Paul as he mentors Timothy and Epaphroditus. In Philippians chapter 3, verse 17, Paul says, "Join with others in following my example, brothers, and take note of those who live according to the pattern we gave you." Also, Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, "Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ." Paul started with being an example of Christ himself, really loving and nurturing the person and taking a genuine interest. Instead of just simply coaching or correcting them, he really built trust with them. So once trust is built, it's much easier to coach, correct, and help someone grow. In fact, you can really motivate them in your mentoring relationship. So in summary, you understand you have to become an expert relationship builder. You have to learn to have deep empathy in your relationships. You have to have the conviction to train somebody, mentor them, but also be trained and mentored by someone else. If you're not willing to do these one another commands, you're not really following Jesus.
I'm Nate Bigby, and I'm one of the other authors of the book, Discipling Redefined. Can you imagine if all the Christians in your small group or in your church were putting these into practice? The goal of this book and the training practicals at the end of it are to help Christians all around the world put these things into practice and become more like Jesus. Buy the book for yourself, your small group, or your church at ipibooks.com.